Hi everyone, I hope you're okay. Um, so the subject for discussion is that today is that we all have mental health, and I think I want to start that by asking if would you be capable of noticing if somebody was suffering? Would you notice if somebody was feeling unhappy or sad just by perhaps communicating with them online or through social media? I think the real honest truthfully answer to that is it's unlikely, and the reason for that is because I think in this modern world we're all living very, very busy lives, and I think our method of communication these days is through social media, etc., etc. And I think what is obvious is that somebody suffering with mental health is usually suffering quietly, and I think unless they're expressing some degree of concern or of ill feeling, it's unlikely if we're on the outside looking in that we would notice. And I think the reason for that is because that's what they want. What that really portrays is the early stages of mental health, and it's what I call the sort of fake tan stage, because what you've got here is you've got an individual that hasn't got yet to the acknowledgement stage where they are ready to deal with that problem or acknowledgement that something is wrong, and they're trying to put on a show for others not to notice, and that can be embarrassment, it can be a feeling of duty of care to their children, it could be because they're concerned about how it might affect their job. So all perfectly understandable reasons, and they're common traits in somebody that's just embarking on that journey with mental health. It can be the case that it is a common trait in individuals that have suffered mental health for a long period of time who have done nothing positive towards dealing with that, and I think that is really a problem. I think the acknowledgement stage, I think, is the beginning. I think what you'll notice is that when somebody is capable of acknowledging a problem and starts to take positive steps towards dealing with that, I think it can often be seen that that fake tan stage, if you like, continues to exist for as long as that period until they start to feel more positive about themselves, because that fake tan stage, as I call it, and the inability to be able to honestly talk about how they feel and what's going on, even to those close to them, is usually because they don't feel positive about themselves. It usually lacks self-confidence, it's usually some air of embarrassment, and like I say, there can be many reasons to include not wanting others to perceive them as being weak or whatever. But I think what's interesting in this conversation is understanding that what this really all boils down to is an inability to be able to talk. Now what you'll find is that those people that are hiding away and they're putting on this facade, this bravado of everything's okay, will continue to do that until they get to that point where they're in the position to be able to talk to a professional, for example, or they start to talk to people that understand them. And I think what you also find is that there are usually people much closer to you that you didn't realise that are actually suffering the same way as you are, and often quietly, but they're just not brave enough yet to talk about it. So a massive overemphasis on the whole principle of and concept of being able to talk, because that really is what it's about. And what you'll find, just as I did, that the minute you start to talk to others, which isn't an easy thing to do, and I'm not going to say it is, but again, it goes back to the video that I did about being in the mental institution, in the mental home at the Cavell Centre. Is the minute you're in there, you're surrounded by people and you can talk, and those people in there understand you, and you feel all of a sudden like, wow, I'm not an alien, I'm not a nut job, these people are the same as me. And I think that's the message here, is making you understand that, or trying to encourage you to realise that you are not on your own. You're not the only person suffering, and until you can find in you the strength and the bravery to be able to talk, which is not easy, I know it's not, but even to be able to go and get professional help. I think one thing I'll never forget my counsellor said to me, and it was interesting, it stayed with me. He said to me, how much does it cost for a new set of tyres on your vehicle? And I think I remember saying to him £600 or something like that. And he responded by saying, well, £600 is approximately 12 sessions, counselling sessions with me. And after 12 sessions, we will have made some incredible progress. And that stayed with me because it made me realise that, money isn't important in this, and it really is. It's about commitment and the ability to talk. And I think if you can find it in you to reach out and seek help until you get to that stage of acknowledgement, I don't think the beginning of the journey starts, but I think the bravery and the strength really is important in the beginning parts of being able to deal with this. And I think you've got to get to that stage where you're starting to think positive about the things ahead of you and the things around you, because I think whilst you're in that place, that fake tan stage where you're hiding and you're not letting people see how you're feeling, that's generally the time when you're still feeling very negative and lacking self-confidence. And I think what it also boils down to is a coping strategy. I think people have different ways of coping. My method of coping and how I get through life, and how there's a guy here, and his name's Sean as well, spelled the other way. He won't mind. I've already spoken to him. He won't mind me mentioning him, but he is somebody that's also been through his own trauma, and the strategy he uses is he's headed to work, and he gives 1000% of that, to a point where it's every fine detail. But I understand that. I mean, at the beginning when I met him, I couldn't quite understand what that was about, but that is his coping strategy. But I think what this is about getting the message out to you that being able to talk about it will take away that facade and that big cast iron gate that's up in front of you that makes you think that you're not worthy, or it's too embarrassing to talk about. It really isn't. I can guarantee you that so many people around and that are close to you will have suffered or are suffering with their own medical health and mental health issue. But we all have mental health. That is an absolute fact. It's just our coping mechanism. Some of us cope better with everyday life and the things that make us happy. The strategy we use to assist us in fulfilling that is a strategy that you might not adopt, that I do, that somebody else doesn't. So it's all about how you cope and what methods and strategies you use to manage. But without a shadow of a doubt, it's the ability to talk, and I think you'll be absolutely shocked at just how many people around you that are closer than you realise that have knowledge, experience, and they have the ability to guide you to the first most important steps toward getting that help. So I urge you not to be embarrassed, not to shy away, not to let it suppress you and allow the world to put its foot on your head. I promise you that if you can find it in you to find professionals, seek and speak to somebody professionally, or I'm pleased, by all means send me messages. I'll confidence, I'll hold your confidence, absolutely. But there's so many forums and sites out there. There are so many governing bodies that they're here to help you, but you mustn't shy away, you mustn't hide away, you mustn't stay in bed all day. You need to start talking about it. You need to find the strength to get on the first rung of that ladder and tell everybody how you're feeling. Don't suffer quietly. Okay, well, I hope that's of help to you today. Please subscribe. Please tune into some of my other vlogs that I put on there. And if I can be of any help, please send the messages over. I will respond to them. Okay, thank you.